I think teams combine creating something with scaling something. And they're actually two separate processes. A lot of design system teams go, okay, the first thing they do is they go, all right, we're going to pick up a component, and that component can be button. And we're going to solve button for all 100 teams that work here. And it's like, well, that's a lot to do on your first go. There's a lot that can go wrong in that. Instead of what, again, back to design system as a product, how would you do this if this was a product or a startup? Well, you would build an MVP. And what does an MVP mean? Something that works for a small amount of people. The first thing, the smallest viable thing that you would design or build to learn something. You wouldn't launch an MVP to the entire world, or to your entire company. You would work with one team first, see if it works with that team, and then figure out how to scale afterwards. So I think that's the biggest culprit that I see, or one of the biggest culprits that I see with teams that have missteps with design systems, is they try to do scale out of the gate without finding a solution that works in a small version first. So work with a team or two, or maybe three, sometimes 3 teams. Let's see if 3 teams can use the autocomplete component that we build. Great. If they can, then let's scale it to 3 more teams. And if that works, then let's scale it to 6 more teams, and then 12 more teams, and eventually to the 100 teams that work at your organization. But 100 teams out of the gate is so hard to serve. And so oftentimes what I recommend to teams as I coach them is, let's create a solution first for a small group of folks, and then let's scale it as a separate activity. Because scaling it's a different part of your brain. It's a different skill set. It's a different cadence. It's a different set of tasks. And so by separating those things, by decoupling those things, you actually make the work easier. If you try to do it all in one, again, Molly, to your point, like if you have multiple priorities, it's just hard. It's harder to do 2 things in one. It's easier to do one thing than 2. I heard there's an ancient proverb. I think it's an ancient Chinese proverb that says, like, if you chase 2 rabbits, you will catch neither. And it's that idea, right? If you're trying to create and scale a thing, you might not do either of those things really well. But if you try to create a solution that works for a small amount of folks, and that works, and then you go, okay, now how can we scale this to more teams? I've seen teams be more effective by separating those 2 concerns.